and welcome to Reporters. Well, in today's show, we bring you extraordinary footage from Spain, on patrol with an elite Spanish police force as they try to break Colombian drug trafficking rings. Now, hundreds of tons of cocaine make their way into Europe each year, and one of the main entry points is Galicia in Spain. Well, there, something of a two-pronged attack as far as anti-narcotics units are concerned is underway, monitoring the ships coming up to the shores, but also monitoring the sophisticated operation to unload the precious cargo before it gets dumped or washed away. Now, for the past 5 years, a special police team called GRECO, or Organised Crime Response Unit, has been meticulously monitoring the waters and the airwaves, scouring for clues of possible illicit deliveries. Since its creation, GRECO Galicia has intercepted 45 tons of cocaine and arrested scores of smugglers, facing off against an ever-powerful and infallible foe. Well, France 24's journalists went along with them. Take a look.
In Aduanas in the southwest of Galicia, appearances are deceiving. Despite the picturesque air of tranquility, it is in fact here that hundreds of tons of cocaine are unloaded every year. It is the Galician fishermen and their famous speedboats that are at the heart of the drug smuggling. 10 kilometers from the Galician coast, this speedboat had just picked up 3,000 kilograms of cocaine from the bowels of a cargo ship. The drug smugglers, realizing they've been spotted by a customs police helicopter, are frantically throwing their cargo overboard. Each parcel is worth about 150,000 euros. As the helicopter approaches, the men are trying to signal that there's nothing left on board. Nonetheless, they've been caught red-handed and everyone will be arrested. Back in the small port of Arusa, we've entered a cafe at random.
What's that?
That's a launch.
An outboard motor launch in English.
They smuggle coke.
You can't see them, they're hidden in sheds. You won't see them in the port, you get it?
Each network of drug dealers owns at least one, if not several, of these high-speed boats, always well hidden in a discreet warehouse or boat shed. Here, less than 10 kilometers from the cafe, the men from the GRECO, the Spanish drug squad, recently found this cache. Police seals were put in place, but the smugglers have been back.
They've tried to force their way in. Look, see that?
On one side of the warehouse, there's a launch equipped with 3 outboard motors, each one of 300 horsepower, and a truck to transport it. And on the other side, a boatyard with another launch under construction made out of fiberglass.
They were in the middle of building this launch. It's nearly 18 meters long. They were going to use it on their next job.
The men from the GRECO decide to put everything back in place and put the yard under surveillance so they can arrest the smugglers should they come back. The drugs all come from Colombia, so the contracts are made between the Colombian cartels and Galician families. The Colombians produce the cocaine and bring it by ship to the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, where the Galicians come and fetch it in their ultra-high-speed boats. This one is the most powerful boat the police has ever seized, with 7 outboard motors and an autonomy of several thousand kilometers.
We found 30,000 liters of fuel in this one. With all that, they could navigate for about 5 or 6 days, depending on their speed.
5.5 tons of cocaine were seized in this boat. The Colombians always send an envoy before each delivery to supervise the operation. The men from the GRECO have located one. The envoy has made contact with the Galician counterparts, and the police have decided to tail him.
Look, there he is. Follow him.
He's driving a dark blue Peugeot 807. 6 unmarked cars have been requisitioned for the tail so that the suspect doesn't catch on.
Every now and then he accelerates or brakes suddenly, just to see if he's being followed.
One small error, one careless mistake, and the target will give the alert. The chain would then break, and several weeks of work would be ruined.
He's brought his foreign contact over. They visited a factory. We don't yet know if it's bona fide business or a front.
Only one car finishes the tail.
Okay, let's go.
And the suspect stops outside a house at the end of this track. However, the rest of the team are back at headquarters and continue the surveillance by tapping the phones.
Right now he's listening to a conversation and he notes what's pertinent and what's not. Anything that's important is taken down and analyzed.
The police don't want to lose the Colombian envoy. He'll lead them to the whole network. In Galicia, drug smuggling networks can have as many as 50 people working for them. Each member has his own specific role: driver, lookout, logistics, and the bosses. The Galicians' strength is their knowledge of every detail of their coast. 200 kilometers of coastline, riddled with creeks and small estuaries like this one.
They have to come past here. It's the Aduanas estuary. And then once past here, without making a sound, they go on over there or there till they reach their hideout, which could be anywhere.
So without an enormous amount of investigative work up front, it's almost impossible to catch them. But when investigations succeed, it's usually a jackpot. It's midnight, and thanks to the telephone taps, the police have been informed of a delivery going on right now. The police helicopter is equipped with an infrared camera that quickly locates the smuggler's speedboat. The boat lands on shore in a small creek. 8 men start unloading the boat when suddenly panic strikes. They've seen the helicopter. 4 men try and escape on foot, while the 4 others turn the boat around and try to escape at sea. They'll try and destroy the boat. The helicopter follows, and one can quite clearly see a radar on board. The smugglers are equipped for navigating on high seas. The high-speed chase lasts for 6 hours until the driver runs aground on some rocks. The 4 smugglers calmly set fire to the launch, destroying as much evidence as possible. Back on land, the police chief arrives at the scene.
They threw everything overboard when they saw the helicopter.
The smugglers have disappeared, but they've left 5 tons of cocaine on the beach, packed in hermetically sealed bags. Dozens of them. In their haste, the smugglers have also left bits of evidence.
Search hard, guys. They might have left a bag with phones in.
The next morning on the quayside in Pontevedra, it's time for the official photos. The white powder has been analyzed positive. It's 80% pure cocaine. Before selling it on, the dealers will usually mix it with talc or aspirin, increasing the quantity and multiplying their profit by 5 or 6. Operation Tabaiba resulted in the arrest of 30 people, including the boat driver apprehended at his home at the crack of dawn. Balthazar Duran, alias Saro, 44 years old, was the best speedboat driver in the region. The police found his share from the last job in his house, several thousand euros in small bills. Saro risks 15 years in jail.
In all, we've done over 50 operations and seized over 45,000 kilos of cocaine.
45,000?
Yes, and that's just in 3 years.
With each operation, the head of a family falls. Marshal Dorado, Alpresi, Minanco, who despite appearances was one of the most powerful drug barons. All these men are currently in prison. But the police know they'll be rapidly replaced because the Galicians get a 20% share of the cocaine shipment that they transport. According to the GRECO team, for every seized cargo, 10 others get through. The smuggler's share is paid in kind, and the drugs are then sold in the region by local dealers. It's this local market that acts as an indicator for the police. The more cocaine available, the lower the price, and vice versa.
When there's not much cocaine around, the price goes up. At the moment, it's at about 38,000 per kilo.
Which is the case at the moment. The price of cocaine has never been this high, which means the men from the GRECO have never been so efficient.
Okay, well that's it then for this edition of Reporters. Don't forget you can watch this episode again by accessing our website, www.france24.com. Until the next time, bye-bye for now.